Hey guys, this is Jens from WunderGraph. I'm the founder, and I want to show you the WunderHub today. So WunderHub is the package manager for APIs. So everybody is kind of familiar with the concept of a package manager like NPM or Go modules, or you have Maven or Gradle in Java and Composer in PHP and so on and so forth. So we all are familiar with the concept that when you need a dependency, you can use a package manager and install the dependency. And you have some sort of registry to store those dependencies and to make them easily shareable. So that's a very powerful tool. And so far, we have not used that tool for APIs. So we have API marketplaces or registries or some sort of that thing. But when it comes to actually using something from an API marketplace or API hub, it's always the same manual step. And we wanted to solve that problem, improve the developer experience, and make it just super easy and seamless to build applications on existing APIs. So today we do a quick run through how the workflow looks like. If you're interested, you can sign up for the private beta and just follow along the steps. If you go to hub.wundergraph.com, and you can see here's this getting started guide with detailed steps on how everything works, then you can just follow along. So we can browse the APIs on the hub. And as you can see, that's just about 3 APIs currently. And you could upload more if you want. It's the private beta, so we're just starting out getting all the details ironed out, but it's ready to use. You can push APIs, you can pull them, and so I can now show you how that works. So let's imagine we want to build an API that takes a country code, turns that into a country, gives us the capital of that country, and we can then join the capital with a second API and get the weather for that country, for that capital. So let's see how we can build that with WunderGraph. So I have this empty directory here. So we start typing wunderctl init. That initiates a new project. Then we run wunderctl. Oh no, we just run yarn to install the dependencies. And I can go here to the hub, and so first we want to add the countries API. So let's wait for yarn to complete its work. And then we can add the dependencies for our API project. So we add the countries API, and we add the weather API. And then let's open our demo folder. So let's give our IDE a bit of time to load everything. Here's the configuration file. And you see that we added those 2 dependencies, WunderGraph countries and WunderGraph weather. So you can now go here and say const countries equals integrations, then the organization, that's WunderGraph, and the countries API. And we put that into an API namespace. We call it countries, just to avoid collisions between, or naming collisions between the 2 APIs. Then we say const weather equals weather, and GitHub Copilot auto-completes that already. Okay, now we can add our countries and the weather API. And that's all we need to do for the configuration part. So let me just remove those default operations. So we have the 2 APIs that I just imported from the hub, countries and weather. We pass it to our application, and then we run wunder control generate like this, and that pulls in the definitions and builds a graphical schema. So now we have a graphical schema with a weather and a country API, both namespaced, so we can write our first operation. Weather.GraphQL. That's in the convention here. We do like Next.js based routing, but slightly different. So you put your operations in the operations folder and they have to be named .GraphQL. And because we generated with the generate command, because we generated a schema file, the IDE now gives us intelligence and auto-completion. So you can now say query, and here we can start with a country, and we need a code parameter. So let's add this parameter, country. So we get the code, name, and the capital. So that's the first part of our query. And we can now run our dev environment. So let's start this up. This now configures our local WunderGraph instance, and I can open a Postman. And with this Postman, we can now get a country. So let's wait for Postman to load. So this is the right endpoint, it's weather. So we have the file weather.graphql, so the endpoint is weather. Let's move that here and we send the request. And you can see we got country, DE, Germany, and the capital is Berlin. All right, so that's step one. Now we want to join this result with the weather API. So how do we do that? So first of all, we need a capital variable. So let's define that. Capital, it's a string and that's internal. So we don't expose it to the API surface. Instead, we just use it internally as a storage. So we export this as capital, which means once the field is resolved, we put the field value into this capital, and then we can use that for a join. So here we want to get, this is now the weather API. You can see one is prefixed with countries, the second one is prefixed with weather. That's the namespacing that is applied here. So we want to get the weather for that capital variable, and then we check the temperature, the actual temperature, and we also want to get the summary, like title and description. Okay, let's save that. Code completion, awesome. Postman. Okay, so we get the country, and currently in Berlin it's light rain, and that's the temperature in Kelvin. Awesome. But you can see here's some like ugly nesting, like those two fields, they are kind of unnecessary. Like we would want to clean that up a bit. So let's do that quickly. Weather, and here we apply a transform directive. So let's do a transform get on weather get city by name dot weather, and that takes the nested weather field and puts it here just to make everything a bit cleaner. Okay, let's try it again, and you will see we get the weather for our country, for the capital Berlin, neatly formatted response, and that's our REST API. We could now use the code generation provided by WunderGraph so that you generate your TypeScript client or whatever. And yeah, that's essentially it. So you can see from idea to ready to use application or ready to use API, we took countries, we took weather, we combined that. We can integrate it in our project with one command. We don't have to figure out like, okay, how do I talk to service 1? How do I talk to service 2? How do I join? how do I secure the API and all those steps that are kind of, yeah, are they really necessary? And is that not a simpler model than, I don't know, loading OpenAPI specifications from GitHub, or visiting documentation websites and downloading SDKs and doing all that manual jazz? Or could you not publish your APIs to this hub, and then everybody else can just pull it in, use it right away? And so the hub, it's not just public APIs, you can use that for your team as well. So if you have a bunch of microservices, each microservice you can publish an API definition to the hub, share it with your team. You can use OpenAPI to define the API. So we translate OpenAPI to GraphQL, or GraphQL. We support like standard GraphQL and Apollo Federation, and you could also use various databases to do that. So if you go to the docs here quickly and you check the various data sources, here's the overview. Then you can see GraphQL, REST, Postgres, MySQL, MongoDB, SQLite, SQL Server, and PlanetScale. And we have plans for adding more. So then you can share any API you want. Okay, cool. That was everything I wanted to show. If you are interested in this concept, go to hub.wundergraph.com, join the private beta and try it out. You can also join our Discord if you have any questions. And yeah, happy to meet you in the future. See you soon.